2.5 hours, we went for an extra hour and a half. And so I'm so fired up and excited, and it was so great. And my students are giving me great kudos for it. And
Amazing.
we had people from
Great.
England over, and some it was just such a great gathering, and so much energy and so much joy. And I'm just filled with this, and I'm trying to get my class. No, I'm working on getting my class that starts this Friday. I'm getting all of that stuff together.
Wow.
And
We can hear the enthusiasm though, Janet. We can hear the enthusiasm. That's great to hear it. Yeah,
absolutely. So
I'm something
fired up. That was on Saturday.
That's wonderful.
I just got emails going back and forth, and it's really super. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, great.
That is great. Congratulations, Janet. We actually went live a full 6 minutes early. I clicked the wrong button, so I guess we're live.
All right.
I could stop it, or we could keep on trucking. We got a few of the early birds here. What's that, Adrian? What
did we say?
We actually captured Janet's win. So
there you go. Well, great.
Yeah, for all posterity, people will know that Janet is winning with her calligraphy.
That is excellent.
Well,
excellent.
I got such great kudos for being moderator, but I learned something quite different. We're not really here yet. Something quite different when I was in college at UCLA. There were these classes that were no credit, no one got paid, no credit, everything. I forget what, Open University, I think, or something. And it was there that I learned about energy and shooting energy into the room and really making people come alive.
Yeah.
And and so I used it when I taught informally at Santa Monica College. I was teaching dance because I was in dance then. And at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Friday morning, it was like, everyone's like still asleep. So I would arrive half an hour early. I'd get myself kind of going, and then I'd go into my classroom, and I started just shooting people with energy, just kind of putting stuff out there. And you could see eyes going from this to this, and people just really being, really there and alive and engaged and everything. And really, I have to realize that's where I started to do all of this. That's kind wonderful, of stuff.
Janet. You're doing it to us now. I think.
Yeah.
Our eyes are wide open.
I just got the energy blast.
We can feel it. That's great.
Thank you. So so that's where I really kind of learned it. And so my approach to things, people are wonderfully intelligent, wonderfully intellectual, how they put things out there, but I kind of come on with this thing, it's like, okay, good morning, you guys, it's time to something or other. And that's how I teach my classes on Friday morning. And John, I learned from you, and all of us have learned from you. You recognize people online. You start by saying, and I see so-and-so, and so I picked that up. I use that now in my classroom, and I used it on Saturday, people I had invited personally that came and things. And so, that's another one of my little things there from you, John. So thank you.
Oh,
great.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've had an effect. Look at that. I'm having an effect. That's
cause and effect. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're
nice
making a spectacle of yourself.
Beautiful. Welcome, everybody. That's great. Janet, thank you for starting our day with that energy. And I think everyone else who's viewing this, because I clicked the go button 6 minutes early, you got some of Janet's energy here today as well. So that's beautiful. While we have a few more people tuning in for our live session, which starts in 2 minutes, I'll tell you a story that was relayed to me from this is from hanging out in ashrams and the the Hindu stuff that I've studied, and in the Siddha yoga lineage. So in fact, you'll see I got a couple of in fact, this is the guy right here. This is Swami Nityananda. So this guy, who was the guru of Muktananda, who I've got a picture of over there, the guy with the orange. I don't know if you can see it. But anyway, this guy used to come out in his little hut or whatever in Ganeshpuri, India, and just people would like do a pilgrimage to his hut. and just sit around on the dirt. And maybe he'll come out and sit on his little porch or something and not say a word. And people would get like blasted with energy. And okay, there's that. So, so Janet, is that exclusive to just, people who I guess are, of a certain lineage or a certain path? No, I mean, energy is, right?
We're filled with it. It surrounds us. And when
Mhm.
we learn to recognize it and to use it, life changes.
Beautiful stuff. And with that, let's officially go live 30 seconds early. I do see a few of my favorite peoples here. Look at these peoples. We got more piling into the room as we speak. So let's see who we got. We got Ace. Hey, Ace. I hear you, buddy. And of course, Adrian's here. Adrian's the first guy I saw when I tuned in. Of course, we already got to hear from Janet. Ivier. Mark is here. Hey, welcome back, Mark. Daisy, Carl, welcome. Sharon, Sandy, Coral, Kim, Sandra, Lindsay, Jamie, and here come some more people who I can't see on the camera yet. So good to see Sharon Atherton here. Sharon, welcome. So glad you're here. All right, so we're gonna have a session. That's what we're gonna do. That's about to happen. What do you think, Ivier? Should we have a session?
Absolutely.
Let's do that then.
Yes,
Since
please.
Ivier said so. Let's do it. So it's Monday, 15th of February. Now, normally on the 15th, I'd say we're halfway through, but this is a short month, so we're more than halfway through. So consider this the second half of February. And how's it looking so far? This is a question that I had for several of my business colleagues just before we got together here live. How's it looking so far? How's our stats? And a conversation came up that I'm going to share with you all here today, which I think is enlightening, instructive, and should bring the right energy based on the energy that I just got blasted with from Janet. There's a conversation about decisions, and it may or may not be what you're expecting. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Before we get into that, though, I do want to announce that we do have some things happening after this session today. So we do have our hospitality suite, which is always open. We have our e-commerce work group with Evelyn Melendez. That is going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And then we're going to be wrapping up 7 Habits of Highly Effective People tonight. Okay, so read through the end of the book. By tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be reviewing our book study on the end of that book. Our next book you'll find in the members site. I've already linked it up. In case you want convenience, you could just click the link. And it's The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clayson. So get excited. That is a fun book to read. It's more in the direction of financial literacy and just basic things you can do. It was written in 1926, I think. And it deliberately uses like older English, like he hath and gone hither and thither and, thou shalt not, right? And all this kind of stuff. So I like it just from that aspect. And also the lessons are really good. And the stories that Arcad, the richest man in Babylon, tells to his pupils, some good stuff that most people, oddly, after thousands of years, still haven't learned. So I'm still learning it myself, having not been born into financial literacy. It's something I've had to deliberately seek out. I know many of us have read more modern books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant, and maybe some Dave Ramsey stuff and what have you. But this one's a classic. So George Clayson, go ahead and grab a copy. I linked it up on the members site. But tonight we're going to wrap up 7 Habits with Steve Covey. Back to what we were just talking about. Okay, decisions. So I was talking with a group of friends and colleagues. They're both. And we were talking about our production for the month so far, because it's kind of a midway point, and it's good to know what's working and what's not. Many of you know that my wife Shannon had just done a major launch, right, with a coaching program and stuff that she does, and so we were also looking at those stats because really it comes down to is this bearing fruit? All of us, I think, as entrepreneurs, we've got the intention to produce, good production and income and lifestyle and benefits for our, our customers, people who buy our stuff. Whether we're talking about a physical product or we're talking about like an information product, which is mostly the area that I play in, And so there are multiple intentions here. There are of course, the intention to deliver value into the marketplace, which we've talked about plenty of times. And there's also the intention to be remunerated for that, right? So there is this thing called the law of exchange. And so money is reward for service rendered. So if you want to make more money, well, provide more service, increase your value to the marketplace. Like the late Jim Rohn said, if you want to increase your income, increase your value to the marketplace. So where does decision fit into all this? Well, any of us, all of us, I will say right now, I'll make a bold statement. You can go anywhere and make money. I know I can, right? Ivier, you can go anywhere and make money. Janet, right? Ace, Daisy, you could start a business. You could join a business. You could get a job. You could get a different job. You could panhandle. You could, right? There's lots of ways to get money. I don't know if that actually qualifies. In fact, I'm sure it doesn't, as far as putting value into the marketplace. But it's a way to get money. Some people do that professionally, believe it or not. What else? You could I suppose, gamble. I know, and I've counseled with and worked with several professional gamblers, like poker players. You guys remember that song from Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, right? So people, like, they make a living out of this. Personally, I'm not cut out for it, right? I got too much emotion going on, right? Heart pounding out of my chest, poker face, not my thing, not my thing. Maybe it could be if I had the intent, right? Because we're talking about intention here. If I had the intent, I could hone that skill and become like a poker player. There is an element of chance to that. But you know what? When I talk to poker players, they say, well, no, it's not just chance. I mean, there's more, like, they've got a skill around that. And I can't speak intelligently about it because I don't know. I don't know their skills. So anyway, there's lots of things you could do. Trading and investing, right? These are things that can fetch money. Now, does that provide value into the marketplace? Not directly. Okay. But look, I know people who've made millions of dollars staring at charts, doing technical analysis, and just saying long or short. That's it. That's the decision to make. So you see, there is a decision to be made, even in something that appears binary like that. Is the value going up or down? I think it's going down. I'm going to go ahead and short that contract, that option, that investment, whatever it happens to be. So we're making decisions all the time about how we're going to apply that intent and what we're going to give our attention to. And hopefully that produces nice, right? It produces good stats and production and everything that we want, right? Hopefully that's a productive decision. And we've talked about this before, where successful people, whether they know it or not, ask themselves two questions when making any decision. The first question is, will this decision move me in the direction of my goal? Like launching this product or engaging in this business or standing on that street corner. Will this move me in the direction of my goal? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, the second question is, will this decision violate the rights of others? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, there is no third question, right? We take action. Successful people do. We take action. So is this an on-purpose thing? Yes. Move me in the direction I want to go? Yes. Okay. Will this hurt you? No. Okay. Well, then let's do it. But a lot of people introduce a third question, which, by the way, I can't codify for you other than just say that it's ancillary and that it doesn't have to make sense. It's the procrastination question, which could be any number of questions, right? So we kind of codified or however you pronounce that word, the first two questions. The third question, well, who knows now? We're in random world over here. And even a blind squirrel can eventually find a nut, as the saying goes, right? So sometimes people will still, become productive after having deliberated with themselves for God knows how long. I say that from experience, by the way. I'm not just giving you theory here. I'm telling you what I observed in my own life. And so as we introspect and as we look at, are we decisive? Are we procrastinating? Are we as productive as we could be? Or are we standing around trying to figure out stuff that doesn't even need to be figured out because they're secondary or tertiary problems that don't even really exist? What did Samuel Clemens say? I've had thousands of problems in my life, most of which never actually occurred. But, right? And there's the but. And it's a big but. And anything that comes after the but, right, is our excuses, our justifications, our rationalizations, rationing lies to ourselves to not act, to practice work avoidance, to avoid decision. Now, decision, of course, comes from the Latin root word, decidere, which means to cut off from. So out of a whole universe of possibilities, I cut off this one thing. This is the thing I am now cutting off and saying, this is what I shall experience. And now let me demonstrate that I've made that decision by action. To decide but to not act is to not have decided. It's like to know what not to do is not to know. So we've done our own introspection on that. We've decided that we're going to be decisive. Okay. We've decided that I've got so much attention that I can put on things today and any day. And it's the same amount of attention. It's the same amount of attention that that anybody else has, right? We got 24 hours worth. We all get this bucket at the beginning of the day. Spend it however you like. You've got to spend it. You can't save it for tomorrow. It's how much attention you can spend this day on whatever. Choose. And some people are more resourceful than others. So that's introspective. That's looking at ourselves. But here's the question. Here's where I'm going with all this today. What about the other person? What about the person who perhaps isn't as introspective as you and I, and who wants benefits and production and solutions to problems in their life? It's called a customer, by the way. What is that customer doing? How are they spending their attention? And they've got the same amount as you. They can spend it on whatever they want. Somehow they confronted you. You did some sort of advertisement, marketing, something. You impinged on them. And yes, now part of their bucket of attention is being spent on you. You've got my attention. And what do we know? Because we already identified it in ourselves, because we've been introspective. We know that it's our nature to avoid making decisions, to avoid change. Remember that book, Who Moved My Cheese, right? I don't want anything to change. I want my cheese right here. But I've got a problem. So I'm going to have to put my attention in places where I haven't put it before, because, well, this isn't satisfactory. This, whatever my problem is, right? My situation, my lack of this product. I need a product to do something for me. I've got things that are unsatisfactory in my life, in my business, in my relationships, in my health, and I require a product now. I require a solution, whether that's tangible or intangible. I require education. I require food to eat and shelter and whatever, right? Software programs, right? Because I'm getting into videos now. And I don't know what software to use. So, and that's just a wild example, but it's one that came up this weekend. And so you're in communication. Let's say you're the purveyor of that solution, the solution to the problem, whatever it happens to be. The prospective customer is as reticent to making a decision as you have been in various times in your life. Now, maybe not in terms of right now, knowing that you can provide the solution. I mean, you've done the research. Maybe you got into product manufacturing and sourcing, or you've spent months putting your knowledge and your wisdom into a course, a product, a seminar, something that now you can offer to the public. So you've got a more decisiveness than the prospective customer who is just confronting and discovering the solution to their problem for the first time. And they're not sure. They're indecisive, in other words. They're not sure if this is the solution they can and should go with. They are ignorant. Yes, they are ignorant to the penalties. Yes, the penalties that they will incur if they don't participate. And as easy as it is to make a change, sometimes it's even easier to not change. So when the pain of change is less than the pain of not changing, people tend to change. And sometimes people have their back right against the wall before they They become decisive, very high necessity level. So then the question is, how can we induce decisiveness on the part of another person, knowing that what we offer is good and right? Okay, we've done our research. We know we've got a solution. Our ethics are good, right? Our integrity. How can I now take this person who is resistant to making decisions and help them make a decision? Keeping in mind, right, that we've already answered those two questions. Will this, move me in the direction of my goal? Will this violate the rights of others? Yes, no. Okay, great. Then let's move. Let me deliver. Let me deliver now. We get paid for exchange, right? We get paid for delivering value to the marketplace. And this is a big jump for a lot of people who are coming out of an employee mindset where you get paid for punching a clock and you produce enough to not get fired. Here, in the world of entrepreneurship, which we're all engaged in to whatever degree, you get paid for results. We could even look at this in terms of things that aren't financially remunerated: parenting, relationships, health. Okay, so back to the customer, right? To the person who is practicing decision avoidance. How do we assist that person? How do we serve that person and actually deliver the value into the marketplace, which they are? They are the marketplace. That's them. You're looking at them. Okay, how do we do that? Well, one thing that I can tell you is that, and there's a big conversation, we can get into a month-long, sales training seminar on this, is that if we are convicted in our decisiveness, in our knowingness, in our confidence, in our certainty that we've got the solution for this other person, the solution to their problem, just like what Janet was talking about in pre-session, we can transfer some of that knowingness. And it's not necessarily about the words. Janet didn't have a script, by the way. We just happened to click the go button while her mouth was running. Okay, so that was unscripted. But she also related how she is intentionally bringing up the enthusiasm level of her pupils, or whatever that forum is, by simply using their name. Here's one way to avoid making decisions. I'm the customer. I'm on a seminar, a webinar, some sort of a broadcast. Oh, that guy, he's talking to everybody but me. Right? I mean, that sounds good. He's talking to the group. I am not the group. I am Janet. I am, Adrian. I am not the group. Therefore, this doesn't apply directly to me. But here's the but I's, right? This applies to all these other people, but not to me. Why do we sometimes do that? And if you take inventory, you could probably look and see times where you've done this, right? Where the speaker, the lecturer, the guru, the whoever is talking to everybody but me, somehow separating myself or disqualifying myself from that solution working in my life. So just to use a name, right? So like what Janet just relayed to us, right? Bob. Oh, now I know Janet's talking to me. She said my name. And what's people's favorite word? Their favorite word is their name. So can we put that to work? And now they know who I'm talking to, right? It's also quite validating, so that this brings a person up and validates them that I've been recognized. Why is social media so hot? People want to be validated. They want their opinions to have an impact on the world, whether they're qualified opinions or not, and most aren't. Okay, but people crave validation. What else can we? So now that we know that, oh, she's talking to me. Okay, well that's nice. Well, now what am I going to do? I'm going to give more attention to the source of the solution that I'm hoping for, right? And now I'm going to be able to receive more information. What is the attention span of most people? Let's say in a public lecture or a YouTube video or something where they're not quite sure if you're talking to them, right? And I've heard statistics about this, and I don't put a whole lot of weight on it, but people retain 10% of what they hear and 20% of what they see, but 80% of what they do, right? They put their hands on. Okay, that we can go with that sort of a ratio. Do those numbers hold water? Probably not, but still, I can retain a whole lot if I intend to, because I'm putting more attention on it, because I'm interested in it, because it's going to serve me in some way. I'll give you one example. I recently, as I've used this example a few times, got my ham radio license, and without having touched the machinery, right? I was able to get the theory of it, look at the diagrams, do some mathematical equations, get, a good working aptitude for this stuff because I was interested, you see, and aced my examinations, aced. Okay, now I got to go buy equipment. I mean, I got some, but that's a can of worms that you can keep spending money on. One of the old timers that gave me my exam said, yeah, you'll want to allocate like 50 grand. So I was like, whoa. So, but they've been doing it for decades. They got piles and piles of equipment. But the idea that we through spending more of our attention, and we only have so much of it, through spending more of it, because now I have a reason to. I've been validated. I can now receive more fully, and retain more, and act on more, make decisions on that data that you're transferring to me. And if you're doing it enthusiastically, then without trying or thinking about it or doing spreadsheets or equations, I am feeling more enthusiastic. You're transferring enthusiasm to me, and now I am more predisposed and motivated to participate. Yes, to buy, to transact, to make a decision, a cutting off point, right? So this came up earlier, as I mentioned. This came up with a client who the offer sounds good. I want to think about it. Anyone ever heard that? I want to think about it. Right. I want to try, see about, if the product, is what I would want to put more of my effort into. Talking now about more like in the realm of business opportunity, right? Do you want to take on this product in your store, right? I want to try before I buy, sort of a thing. Still indecisive. All these things are indecisive. But what do we know also happens when someone has a high necessity level and therefore more decisiveness, more urgency on something? They tend to do away with the secondary and tertiary considerations, and they get from A to B a whole lot faster. So my job, having been in sales and marketing world as long as I have, my job is to collect the decisions. My job is to induce urgency on the part of people who are reticent to make a decision. I can only do that, by the way. I can only do that if I'm sold myself. I may or may not be the purchaser of that same product that I'm selling. Okay. So for example, back when I was years ago selling Fords, I was in a Ford dealership. Ford, arguably, not arguably, statistically, they have the best selling pickup truck, right? The Ford F-150 is the most ubiquitous, like everywhere you go, Ford F-150s. I don't drive a Ford F-150. I don't want a Ford F-150. I have no use for a Ford F-150. But you do, Mr. Customer, right? So let me tell you about this Ford F-150. And I know that is the product. That is the solution to their problem. Their transportation problems are solved when they've got this vehicle. So that's an example where you don't have to be the actual purchaser of it, but you've got to be sold yourself, right? So that is, for all its purposes, that is the product that customer needs. And they showed up in front of me. So what's my job? My job is to induce a decision on the part of that customer. They could go down the road and buy the competitor's product. Frankly, my wife is campaigning right now for me to get a truck because she wants to pull the big camper and all this. And now my daughter is into horses. And I'm like, we're not buying a friggin' horse. No. Every angle that you approach it from is going to be no, not at this time. Not at this time. Okay. So I'm pretty decisive about that. But she's been taking horse riding lessons and she loves it. So anyway, we'll get her a job at the stable when she's able to, and she can shovel horse poop. And, if she likes that for a year, and maybe we could talk about a horse. But anyway, in fact, I think you could see some pictures on Facebook if you're interested. Not of the horse poop, but of her riding the horse. So, my goodness, I just took myself totally off course. Right. So my wife is campaigning for me and I'm into Chrysler products. So the Ram. Oh my goodness, what a truck. Okay. Competition to the Ford F-150. I like the Ram. I like Dodge. I like Chrysler. I like that. So, the point is that I'm inducing decision on the part. I'm collecting a decision. Yes, I'm collecting a decision. And we've got no, and we've got yes. And then what have we got in the middle? Maybe all the considerations, all the non-decisiveness, right? All the thinking and talking and no decision. No decision. No is a decision. Yes is a decision. Maybe is no decision. And what's my job? To collect decisions. Now, does that have to happen right now? Right now. Sometimes we can induce urgency, right? If the person, and we know that, look, they showed up, they're a buyer, they want this solution. Let's go ahead and make it worth your while right now. Let's not sit around, think about it anymore. And that could be via a number of different devices, right? There's risk reversal, guarantees, discounts, limited time offers, scarcity, exclusivity. There's lots of different devices. I'm not going to explain them all now. We'll do more like sales training kind of stuff. But when you perceive this yourself as a buyer, okay, so the item that you've been looking at for a month is on sale now, limited time sale, special buy, right? Do you tend to make decision? You do. I mean, if you really want the item, oh my goodness, how fortuitous! It's $100 off. Sign me up right now, right? Because it's a limited time kind of a thing. Same thing with we get into exclusivity or scarcity. Here is there's only 100 spots. There's only 100 spots in this group, and the first 100 you're in, and then the rest you can go on a waiting list, right? And that's a real thing, right? If you've got only so much to go around, well, then that's it. Back to the whole ham radio thing. I was looking at antennas, and some of these antennas, because ham radio's gotten big again all of a sudden after decades, suddenly people are interested in that again. And some of these antennas are like sold out for months, right? They're designed and made for specific frequencies and whatever. You could spend $1,000. Oh, right now you can't. Right now you're going to sit on a waiting list, right? So there's exclusivity on stuff like that. Same with intangible products, right? So here's a coaching or mentoring program. Well, how many people can we serve, right? There's only so much of the expert to go around, right? And we want to make sure everyone gets expert service. So what can you do to collect a decision, because it's your intent to do so, because you're decisive, and now you're going to help someone else become decisive who is reticent to being decisive. And that's all day, every day. If you're in sales and marketing, that's the world we live in. As entrepreneurs, you get paid for delivering value to the marketplace, not hoping to deliver value, not just intending to deliver value. And I'm glad you got that intent, because without that, you got nothing, but actually delivering value, real and perceived. So then I guess the real thing that we're looking at here is, how do people perceive the value that you provide into the marketplace? How do people perceive that? And are they perceiving it enough, or do you need to turn up the volume on that? You need to put a little bit more amplitude on that transmission so the message gets through to the ideal target audience, so they can, yes, make a decision which is good and right for them. And again, that's why I say I'm sold myself. Last four letters of the word enthusiasm, IASM. I am sold myself. I've got no hesitation about it. Buy this now. And here's every reason that you should buy this now. And when you buy this now, these problems are solved. And we know these problems are going to be solved. And we know that's why you're here. And so let's wipe out any reasons, considerations, thoughts, counter whatevers to why you wouldn't. Now, that may sound pretty direct, but that's what goes through my mind when I'm talking to Bob. And Bob is the ideal customer, and Bob knows I'm talking to him. And I may be talking to 1,000 people too, but Bob is listening because he knows that I have his best interest in mind. Collecting decisions. This is it's easier to do when we do it to ourselves first. You see where I went with this, right? So I'm sold myself. So now it's a piece of cake for me to communicate my conviction to you. If I'm indecisive about it, I don't know. Well, guess what? Now you can't know. You can't know if I don't know. And look, I'm saying this from over $100 million in sales experience. This is how it has worked for me. Are there other methods or devices or gimmicks or whatever? I suppose, but who needs all that? Right? People study neurolinguistic programming, matching and mirroring, and getting into this certain state with people. And I've been accused of doing that automatically. And if I've done it at all, it has been automatically, because I've never intentionally done that. I think authenticity is what people want. And well, my stats tend to agree, but yeah, can you induce someone else to have a higher level of enthusiasm and therefore a higher level of motivation to participate, to collect a decision? I want you to think about that as it relates to everything you do today, whether it's actual promotional material, right? So I'm putting out a video and I'm attracting people. What is the purpose of that video? Is that to induce more and to increase the cooperation and agreement? Yes. To bring people closer to you. Everything we do today, we're going to put the pictures on the product, on the e-commerce thing, right? What is the purpose of the pictures? To make the customer want to buy, to increase their enthusiasm, to get them closer to a decision. Everything we do must bring people closer to a decision, closer to an agreement that this is the solution. And now let me exchange a little bit of that money because I value that solution more than I value this little bit of money right here. This little, $5, $10 million, whatever the number is. Okay. By the way, I've never sold a $10 million deal. I know some people sell Gulfstream jets and stuff. So that's not the game that I've played. But am I making any sense? Right? We're talking about decisiveness here, not just for ourselves, but inducing that in the part of another. I can lecture for days and weeks and months about us being decisive. And I'm being a bit presumptuous right now, thinking that you already are. You're good. Let's say that you're good. How do you induce that now in another person? This is powerful communication. And again, it's one that we can go down that road for a long time. And yes, we're gonna do more sales training kind of stuff because I find that it leaks into every area of my life. As I am here in business is as I am in the gym. I've got to sell myself those weights every day, right? Again, that's me, right? I don't have another person. I don't have to convince the iron to be heavy or something. Okay. But still, I am in sales all day, every day. Right. See Janet laughing. Yeah. Please iron, please be heavy. Hey, gravity, can you turn on gravity, please? I need some weight over here. I love you guys. Collecting decisions, inducing decision on the part of others. What do you guys think about this? And is this something that you're actively, you can raise your hands and we can have a conversation about this. Is this something you're actively pursuing? Is this something that you find that you do automatically? Is it something that you're giving attention to, or you'd like to be able to do more of? We can kick this around. In fact, what we can also do is, and this may be pleasing to the group, is have workshops where we can do like overcoming objections, right? I know that's one that's a hot one, right, in the sales world. Well, what if they object? What if they say, and then fill in the blank with the objection. Objections, by the way, are typically buying questions, right? So I'm close to a decision, John. Help me get past this one problem and I'm in. That's typically what an objection is. Inducing decision. Hopefully I haven't just lost everyone. Let's go ahead and open up the floor. I see a couple of, as we're waiting for hands to rise here. Mark, incentive, call to action, takeaway. Mark, takeaway is good. That's good. That's a good device. But it's got to be real, right? It's got to be non-attached, right? Like you can walk. There's the door, right? I remember when I bought my Maserati, they were ready to show me the door. Oh, Koila, your brother's a ham nerd. Been doing that for 50 years. Oh, and there's his call sign too. Okay. Maybe I can do some DXing, assuming he's in England. DX means long distance contacts. All right. No hands. I put everybody to sleep. That's it. Janet, you want to talk again? Just come on out. I thought this was a, come on out.
Thank you so much. This is so great because I just started by telling you, somebody said, well, how was your weekend? I answered it, very joyful, very heartful, very exciting to have shared with so many people, over 200 people on the call, the enthusiasm that is just bubbles up from inside of me because of passion. And you just took that and well, I mean, you already had your idea, but you went into the whole enthusiastic part. You went into the whole, if we're excited about it, if we are convinced ourselves about something, we can transfer that enthusiasm. I love the I am sold myself, the last part of enthusiasm. I wrote that down. And this puts a whole different spin on it. I'm not having to convince myself. I'm not having to get my head right or everything. I'm already there. I'm there with that. And that's where the authenticity is. That's what I transfer to people. Knowing how to do it with the photographs, with the bullet points, all of that kind of thing. But if that's where we are, but getting that, recognizing it, for me, recognizing that in myself, that's where I am. That's how I feel about this. And that really, you just did such great things there on helping other people make that decision. But it's really bubbling up from inside of me because I've already made that decision. So that is so powerful, John. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you. You know, the I mentioned the word maybe, which lives in the middle of yes and no. And I like to say maybe is crazy, right? If you want to see people who are stuck in a chronic, never-ending maybe, you can go to the mental institution, right? Indecision. That's not a good spot to be, right? So in your case, your joy, Janet, I think is evident, right? And pouring out because you are decisive and you know you're on the right path. You are enthusiastic, right? I can't do that and sit here in a maybe. I'm enthusiastically maybe. What the hell is that? Doesn't make any sense. Oh my goodness, we got Jane and Neil are here. Jane and Neil and Jane, how are you, my friends?
We're well. Obviously, we've, as probably a few of you know, I'm just going to touch on this very quickly and then move on to the subject. But we lost our eldest dog about 10 days now, isn't it? Which has been extremely sad times for us. She was 15, and it has, obviously a lot of you know, if you have got dogs, it does leave a gap in your life, which is really, really hard. But we're getting over that, and so are the other two. The reason I wanted this subject is so specific and reaches out to me directly, in as much as the PPC issue, and I've started undertaking being a PPC coach and teacher for as many people who want to have the advice, because I know full well that I can save people money, and that goes back to my own personal experience when we started. The amount of cost that it cost us to do PPC campaigns, and that we had to learn extremely quickly how to do this. And now I'm selling, if you like, that's it, I'm selling my service to anybody that wants to look at it and purchase it. But I did a presentation to Canada, the Blue Sky Canada, and I've already been able to save them money in very simple and basic advice. And my thing with this is that I'm trying to teach them how to do it. I don't want to actually just tell them to do this, this, and this, but I want to actually teach them how to do it, because we are still at a very early stage of our journey, and people need to learn how to do this so that in the future that saves them money as well. And of course, when I first started doing this, I was thinking, if I do this, is anybody going to take this up? But it turns out, last week I did the presentation to Canada, started at 12 midnight in UK and finished at 2 o'clock in the morning. So with various questions and answers that they may have. Wow. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to be so self-confident and be able to just go for it. Otherwise, any doubts that come in, and it's doubts and procrastination, doesn't get you anywhere.
Right. My condolences, first of all, on the.
Thank you, John. I know you understand.
Oh, I do. I've been through it several times, and 15 years old is a full life for
Mhm.
that animal. So well done on all you've done for that animal. Onto saving people money with, I mean, if you could demonstrate that, look, I'm in this business. I've got to do advertising because a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing, right? Nothing happens. So I want something to happen. Now, am I here just to throw money at Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, or is that my purpose in life? No. Great. Help me, Neil. Help me.
Well, everybody should be running an ACOS saver. That's my saving money immediately. If you're not running an ACOS saver, you are wasting money.
There you go.
Anybody that comes to me, that's the first thing I show them how to set up is an ACOS saver.
Right. Hey, send me a link or something too, so we can publish it into our members site, because that is a valuable service and that needs to
Thank you. Yeah.
be made known. Yeah. And publish it on our Facebook group too. We got a members products tag that you can tag stuff with, whether it's an actual product or like the book that we just put out or whatever. So,
there's 15 minutes of my time free anyway. And that usually, because surprisingly, I talk for quite a bit, and that usually runs to about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. So you get that sort of time free. And then if you're wanting to take the services up further, options are available.
Right. Very good. So another thing Neil just mentioned is a free consultation, right? So some people have called that moving the free line. So let's assess the problem. Let's see that we have a solution. In fact, let me go ahead and give you a tip right now that will solve maybe an immediate problem that you're having. And now you can buy the rest of the program, right? We can solve the rest of the problems, but let me demonstrate to you that we know what we're doing. And we'll do that right up front right now. So another great angle and device to induce decision on the part of another person that you know you can help. Thank you, Neil and Jane. Good to see you both.
It's good to see you
here. Very good. All right. Who else wants to talk today? Come on down. Who do we got? We got Jamie Young. And Jamie, I got to pause my camera for a minute. Let's have you come on out here, brother.
Boy, no pressure.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
No worries. My comment was just on what Neil just said, that's a value add, right? What's the value proposition in giving that free advice, which is the enticement to get somebody to step further into buying the service. We do that every day in sales and marketing. Everybody on here that is somewhat involved in sales and marketing on any level, whether it's entrepreneurial with the job that you have 9 to 5, so to speak. You know, how can we add a value which that customer is maybe familiar with or comfortable with, so where they'll take that extra step. So I think free is great, right? But don't give it away. That's I think is a lot of people will give away too much because they don't have confidence in what potentially, and so they do that as a kind of a buffer. But just up front to give it free, I think that's the value add. John, you back? More pressure. All right. Well, anybody else got their hand up?
I am back.
He's back.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yep.
And you've been in sales a long time, so this is not a foreign topic to you. I've got a question for you though. The dealing with a more of like a commodity, right? Because I know some of the products you deal with. Is there, hey, look, I could buy from you, or it's the same exact product over there. Is it just about price? How do you? And you may have said that. I had to run out of the room real quick, but I'm back.
No, I didn't. Well, the value add for us is the product that I sell primarily is environmentally friendly. It's a lot of anybody who has a diesel engine that's newer than 2010 has this stuff in there called DEF, or diesel exhaust fluid. It's a liquid that works in conjunction with the combustion of the engine. Not to get too in the weeds on it, but it cleans up the diesel exhaust fluid, the diesel exhaust emissions per the EPA here in the States. And actually, it was first designed and moved over here from Europe. So Europe has been involved in that forever. But The defining difference for us is, yeah, it's the same. It's pretty much all price the same. It's service, right? What do you bring to the table? And it's relationships. So if you're all on the same plane, then you have to dig deeper to find out what's your how do you get yourself away from that common denominator of price? It's your value add. So is that your personality? Is it the way you sell it? Is it the confidence? Is it the way you interact with people? Everybody on here, I know that none of that's strange to them. So what is the bait on that hook? What bait are you putting on that hook for that person to bite on and be able to reel them in and with confidence to make them hopefully a long-term customer?
Right. But, and I know you do that well, which is why I brought that up, because here's a commodity, right? Which there's different, I guess, grades of it or whatever. But I get to deal with Jamie, right? And Jamie makes my life easier in all these different ways, right? And I know the service is going to be there. And so maybe I even pay a little bit more. And for people who are looking at, selling premium products or high level services, it's not about price, is it? In fact, that's the last thing on the list of features.
Right. It's the last thing that you don't want to get down into the dirt and start a bidding war. In fact, if you are higher, then it's up to you to convince that customer, what is that premium worth? That premium is worth, again, your relationship, my service, my knowledge, things that make it easier for them, right? But that's not always going to happen. You're going to have those people that are going to go, I don't care what you have to offer. I want the price. And actually, to me, that's a short-term customer, because you give them that price, that person's going to turn around and go to the other one and say, well, Jamie gave me the price at this. What's your price? And then you all just go down on this nosedive into the dirt and nobody wins. Well, the customer wins, of course, but you don't win as a sales professional. Right. I want to fight that battle. I want a customer that I can maintain. There's that whole argument about margin versus volume in the business that we do. I think a short-term relationship is margin. If you're going to try to really stick it to somebody and make as much money as you can, I don't think you're going to have that customer for long. I think you work on many more customers at a smaller margin, the numbers they'll balance themselves. Those cases.
Yeah. Well, I saw that Neil, and we're going to get to Nicola here in a second, but I saw where Neil was talking about the how you worded it, Neil, the advertising cost of a sale, right? In the world that I've played in, mostly it's the cost per acquisition, CPA. So what does it cost me to acquire that customer versus what Jamie's bringing up here is what we call the LTV, the lifetime value of the customer. And I know one company in particular that I do business with, they're losing money on the front end, but their lifetime value is spectacular. So they don't care. Let's lose money on the front end. Get them in the door. Once they're in the door, they will be dazzled and delighted, and they're never leaving. Right. So interesting metrics, right? When we get into that, and there's an emotional aspect of that too. What Jamie's just bringing up. It's people that make decisions. Or avoid making decisions. It's not corporations. And I think a lot of times people don't get that if they're in like B2B sales, business to business, and they're thinking, I'm selling XYZ corporation. No, you're not. Right? You're selling the guy who can write the check. That's the guy. Right? Nicola, what do you think about all this? Nicola.
So the kind of world of traditional sales is new to me. So I've always been in a corporate industry and a support function. So I'm just starting to figure out the mindset, I guess, you've got to have to go into sales. And what I've found, I suppose it's common sense really when you say it, is the more passion you've got behind something and the more enthusiastic you can get, then you pass that on, as you've kind of taught us. So it's probably more of a question to you with your sales knowledge on products and services and everything you've probably sold in your lifetime. What am I trying to ask here? If you don't have that obvious connection and that passion to what you're selling, so it's not yours or not something, how do you get it? Or do you move on at that point? Is that not right for you?
Well, I will say this, and I've said this to many salespeople who were going sideways, and that is that if the truth isn't good enough, go sell something else. So never lie. to your customer. But what you're actually interested in, what we're actually enthusiastic about is the experience of having found a solution for that customer. I don't drive an F-150. I don't want an F-150. I don't want a pickup truck, although I'm looking at Rams now. But that customer, oh man, that is the solution to their transportation problems, right? They got the horses, they got the whatever, whatever their situation is, why they need that. I am enthusiastic for them. And on behalf of them, that person I'm intending to serve, I'm 100% sold. Yeah, you gotta get this. You gotta get this product. I personally, I've never bought one, but you got to buy this right now because, and then all their reasons, not my reasons, all their reasons. So the other thing, Nicola, I know you because for anyone who doesn't know, if we have any guests watching this, Nicola runs our group meditation on Tuesdays, Tuesday morning here, Tuesday evening for her in England. And there's much more subjectivity than I think a lot of people will consider at first. So like in your case, what is the value? Like, why do people, and people do this, why do people go and spend thousands of dollars to go on like a spiritual retreat, to India or something, and or, to the ashram, and is there are they getting like a specific formula on like, this is going to help them, with their business or whatever? No, but there's subjective value. There's a perceived value. And that is something where you can't always quantify, but you can. And I think you do this very nicely, Nicola. I haven't seen you in action, and maybe I should shadow Nicola around in her daily actions and see, what she does. But I think, this is just my perception of you, is that you're a bright, and you attract attention, a positive attention to yourself. You predispose people to want to be around you and do business with you. That's how you occur to me. Okay. So can you put that into a product that you're selling, even though it may not be a product that you personally use in your own life, but can you put yourself in the shoes of, and I think you can, in the shoes of the person, the ideal buyer for that product? Why would they want that? Do you do that?
I've never thought about it like that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes, well, we've had this conversation before, but it takes the me out of the equation, doesn't it? It's not just about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the other person. So yeah, I like that.
Right. If you can get really certain about how that buyer would experience whatever your offer is, and then that certainty is now induced in them. They're buying whatever it is. That's why I've said many times that the most important sale you can make is to yourself. I sell me before I sell anybody else, right? And then it's just a conversation. And I don't mean to sound like too flippant with that. We're going to go to Jamie here again in a minute, but I don't mean to sound too flippant. But what I am most of the times is not attached, right? So it's that air of what some people call a posture or a relaxed confidence. Anyone who wants to dig into this, like hardcore dig into it, get a book called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. It's one of the best explanations I've ever heard of what a lot of people call posture, or that confidence, what he calls prizing, right? So what a privilege for me to be able to buy from Nicola or Jamie, right? What a privilege. I can go get advertising tips from anybody, Neil, but man, Neil, I know Neil, right? Neil is the prize, right? And so, and not to mention, he's going to help me do all these other things that mathematically make sense in my business. But Neil is a good guy. And look, all decisions are based on emotion, all buying decisions, not on logic. So Nicola, that's why I would say you've got an unfair advantage, right? And I would say that to everyone here who's in this conversation, right? I mean, think about how many people, Jamie, why don't you come out here again? How many people have we seen with the fake it till you make it, right? And they're trying to force, some gimmick down the throat of a customer. They don't give a shit about the customer, right? They're a rat looking for cheese, get, right? And that is short-lived. And my goodness, it falls on deaf ears, especially when you get into the mahogany paneled office, right? You better have some more game than that. Jamie, your thoughts?
I'm just going to tell Nicola that I don't drive a diesel. I don't have to drive a diesel in order to sell it, just like John just said. If you believe in the product, you understand the product, you can sell anything you want. And that comes through, I think, in the confidence that you know what you're doing. People are, it's funny, like, you know, when we've all gone on, you know, we don't have a job and we go look for a job. The energy we put out is that we're desperate. At least I know that's me. I've had to interview, but not having a job, I'm desperate. I want to pay the bills. I want to, you know, those people can read it. I've interviewed people where I can read it. So, you know, the old adage is it's easier to get a job when you have a job, because you go in relaxed. You go in confident with yourself because you're not up against it. So when you're selling something, if you believe in it, understand it, you don't necessarily have to drive it or use it or eat it or drink it or write with it or whatever. That people read that, and I think that's a big piece of the pie. So you're subconsciously, I believe, you're selling yourself, because the knowledge of what you're selling translates to the confidence in yourself, and therefore the energy precedes that. So that's how I comment on Nicola. I don't believe anybody has it naturally. I think you learn it. Yeah, you could be a salesperson, that might come naturally, your personality, but you don't necessarily have to be, I don't have to wear it, drink it, eat it to sell it.
Okay, no, that's good. So it sounds like it's belief in what you're selling and belief in yourself in being able to sell it is the. Absolutely.
And you believe in yourself because you believe in whatever you're selling. So I think they kind of switch, right? So if you don't have one, you don't have the others, in my view, in a lot of cases. Yeah.
And definitely, Jamie, don't drink the deaf. Don't drink.
It's pretty much ammonia. Well, maybe
unless you're a college kid and they can put it in a little pod, then you can do like little challenges and yeah.
And there's some probably sections in this world where COVID gets you beat COVID by drinking that.
Yeah, right. Good stuff. All right, we're gonna wrap up, I think, with Jane and Neil again. And come on out, Jane and Neil.
Yeah, I mean, and Jane, that's so true what Jamie's just said. I mean, I think the biggest compliment I had from one of the people that I was teaching the PPC was at the end of it, they asked me if I was a teacher. And I mean, and as I said to them, other than teaching paramedics, no, but I'm so enthusiastic and want people to learn the subject because it's important. It just comes naturally, as in putting that particular subject together and what I've learned. And I feel very relaxed in actually discussing that subject. So I think that was one of the biggest compliments that I've so far. Apart from another person, I set it up for 2 weeks and then they come back to me and they said, "Oh, we sold 9 products." And she didn't see, well, that person, that's fantastic and a great win. But because as I make it very clear at the early stages of PPC, you're looking for data rather than product sales. And yet she'd sold 9 of her products. So, but yeah, the actual compliment that somebody said to me that am I a teacher? That was, if I keep doing that, I think I'll be okay.
Beautiful. Well, and you occur as that, right? And you also occur as a relaxed, confident person because you know your stuff, you know your craft, right? You know your product. So I think back to the original point that we were talking about, everyone, is inducing decision. We can do it for ourselves, right? Can we help another person do it? So it's almost like it's my moral obligation now to help you make a decision, because I'm decisive, right? And if I don't got me, I got nothing. Okay, but I'm good. Let me help you be good now. And that's the way I look at transferring enthusiasm. That's the way I look at transacting business. And in a little while, I'm going to be on consulting calls. I got consultations with people who are looking for solutions. And what am I going to do? What am I going to do with them? I'm going to find a common ground, rapport. I'm going to be very interested in them. They're going to know that I'm interested in them. They're going to know that I'm talking directly to them. I'm going to understand their problem. And if appropriate, I'm going to offer a solution. And it's not going to be an inexpensive one. Okay. But the question, what is this going to cost me? Well, what do you mean? If you buy it or if you don't? right? Because like what Neil was just talking about, right? How much money do you want to throw at ads that produce nothing, right? So what's Neil's services cost? I don't know. What you mean if you buy them or if you don't? Costs a lot if you don't buy it. Consider that. And now with that posture, with that conviction, and with that certainty, right? How easy is it for Neil to then go and say, you know what, here's the solution. Yeah, you want to call me a teacher? That's great. Thank you for the compliment. But we're going to get your stats up, right? That's the purpose. So thank you, Neil and Nicola and Jamie and Janet for kicking this whole thing off. You know what? If it wasn't for Janet, we might have talked about something else here today. So thank you, guys. We are at the top of the hour. We're going to be getting back together here with e-commerce work group. That's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. And of course, I will see you at 9 p.m. tonight. Get through the rest of 7 Habits. And if you haven't already ordered or you don't already own a copy of Richest Man in Babylon, go ahead and grab that. And look, if you're just watching this on YouTube and you want to be in the, the whole group here, we do book studies, e-commerce, we do meditation sessions, we got yoga, my goodness. We do all kinds of great stuff. It's fun. Go ahead and grab yourself a 2-week trial at jlsuccessmastermind.com. And we'll be happy to